I know this review's a little late, and all I can say to that is, well, I don't care. A Quiet Place has gotten rave reviews from critics and made tons of money at the box office, with many people calling it an instant classic. John Krasinski has gone from reaction shots in The Office to a full-blown Hollywood director. This kind of success doesn't happen often, and I gotta say, I'm pretty happy for Jim. He's had some seriously bad luck with the film world. Perhaps the best example of this is him missing out on the role of Captain America to Chris Evans. What Krasinski has here is a really solid premise, one that many filmmakers would have used for a short film or an episode of an anthology series. I was actually rather impressed that Jim was able to get a 90-minute movie out of such a simple premise. But it turns out the simplicity is one of the film's greatest strengths, as it makes us realize how messy most modern films are, and just how loud they are. I like this movie overall, and I think it works as a fun crowd pleaser. But I can't deny the plot holes, poor logic, and how calculated some of it is. It's an easy movie to nitpick, and I can't really blame any critic that rips this movie apart. It's well directed and shot, there's great sound design, and all of the performances are really good. But Krasinski cheats more than he should. I mean, he's not cheating on Emily Blunt, but who would do that? What helped me overcome a lot of my problems was a good deal of tension, and some genuine heart that comes through in the movie's best moments. The opening scene is both impactful and haunting. The family dynamic is strong throughout, and I like that in many ways this film is really about how we don't communicate well with each other. We don't say important things to each other that we really should. And A Quiet Place really explores that human struggle. The creatures in this movie reminded me of the Cloverfield monster. In fact, there was part of me that thought this would have been a better Cloverfield 3 than Cloverfield Paradox. I'm serious, after 10 Cloverfield Lane, a family out in the middle of nowhere fighting the aliens would have been a pretty interesting third film. I mean, I guess the monsters work well enough, but I gotta say, they were a little derivative. However, I did like that the movie didn't have a lot of backstory and exposition of how we got here, it just kind of lets things happen. There's not a lot of fat here, and one thing that really surprised me about the movie that I didn't know going in was that the majority of it takes place on one night. I assumed that this movie would span several weeks. We would follow this couple who's trying to figure out how to have a baby in a world where you can make no noise. We would slowly see the details of their daily routine and watch them survive many close call situations. It turns out this movie has more in common with something like Night of the Living Dead. And honestly, I think it's one of the better decisions that the filmmakers made. This could have been a 2-hour film that spent more time fleshing things out, but they smartly went for an extended version of the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park. I don't know if I really dug the overall lack of subtext, and I'm worried that people will project things onto this movie that aren't really there, and I think it's kind of designed to do this. I'm not saying that it's a huge flaw that the movie's more about thrills than ideas, but I would have liked a little bit more meat in my sandwich. Something that consistently hurt this movie for me was the idea that they even were having a baby. It's such a crucial part of the movie, and I couldn't help but think, like, dude, why didn't you use a condom or pull out? This is like the worst idea ever. They could have at least used this as some way to create some conflict between the main couple, but they both act as if this makes a lot of sense or something, like it's not insane. The creatures also don't really make any sense, like the way they move and the way things work with them. I mean, it's honestly ridiculous and convenient for the sake of horror scenes. And the more I think about them, the worse the film gets. Jim could have spent a little bit more time on the rules of this world. And the final solution is so simple that you question why nobody figured this out before this moment. I mean, it honestly is just kind of like, really? That's it? I don't really know if so many people have given this a pass. It's a pretty big flaw in my opinion. There's also a moment with a nail that is some of the worst foreshadowing I've seen in any recent film, and I have no idea why the character didn't take care of it earlier. It's just weird that a movie this well made and smart can sometimes be so stupid. There's moments here, like one with red lights, that hint at the better movie this could have been. One that is more subtle and more artful. In my opinion, this movie could have used a little bit more chaos. It felt a little too, I don't know, manipulative, and it felt a little too constructed at points. As of right now, it's a very entertaining film that mostly works, but it's highly flawed in very serious ways. I never really found it scary, but it does work as a genre exercise. There's also something really calming about this movie. The locations and cinematography really do a good job of bringing you into this world. And the two leads are extremely likable. Emily Blunt is wonderful as always, giving a physically dedicated performance that finds the right balance between fear and strength. Krasinski is perfect as the father, using his eyes to say everything. The movie also does a great job of establishing geography and cutting back and forth between its main characters, and it's very well done from a filmmaking standpoint. The kids are also both very good, and they help keep the movie grounded. The movie really tries to pull from the relationship between the father and daughter, and I'm not sure this works as well as Krasinski thinks it does. So does A Quiet Place meet the hype? Well, yes and no. It's certainly refreshing to see a film this elegant hit with mainstream audiences. Hyperbole is nothing new, but I'm finding myself less likely to trust critics calling the next film groundbreaking to actually be that amazing. I know it might sound like I didn't like this movie, but I'm more commenting on how some people have reacted to it and not the film itself. For every moment that took me out of the movie, there was another moment that drew me in completely. There's plenty of solid craftsmanship here, and I think this film would probably play best with a large audience or a group viewing. There's some bravura filmmaking here. So A Quiet Place overall makes enough noise to get a solid score from me. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and please rewind your VHS tapes before bringing them back to the store.
What the fuck was that? Ah!